In a world obsessed with image, some transformations go deeper than style or stardom. While the spotlight clings to red carpets and scandals, these stars were rewriting their identities behind the scenes. No press releases, no apologies, just truth, power, and transformation that shook the industry. Here are the Black celebrities who underwent gender transitions. Before she ever graced a red carpet, Alexandra Gray was fighting to be seen. Raised in the foster care system after being separated from her mother, Alexandra knew early on that her identity didn't match the world's expectations. Transitioning in her early 20s, she found both her voice and her vision. Hollywood didn't open its doors right away. She faced rejection, typecasting, and silence, but Alexandra persisted. She brought nuance and brilliance to shows like Transparent, Empire, and MacGyver, refusing to be boxed in. Off-screen, she's become a powerful advocate for trans visibility in entertainment. Her story isn't just about survival, it's about rewriting the rules. In an industry slow to catch up, Alexandra Gray showed up, fully herself, and demanded space. Among those who made space where none existed was Tease Madison. Before the fame, before the Tease Madison experience, she was a Black trans woman in Atlanta, hustling to stay afloat. Known first through viral internet videos, Madison transformed notoriety into opportunity, building a brand that no one could ignore. She wasn't handed a platform, she built her own, brick by unapologetic brick. She became a producer, a host, and a cultural force, appearing in everything from RuPaul's Drag Race to Beyoncé's Renaissance. Through it all, she remained raw, bold, and unmistakably herself. Tease Madison bent the system around her instead of trying to fit in, and in doing so, she opened doors for others to walk through louder, freer, and seen. While others transitioned quietly, Laverne Cox did it under a spotlight she helped create. She wasn't the first trans actress, but she was the first to make history in so many spaces. From her Emmy-nominated role in Orange is the New Black to her trailblazing Time magazine cover, Laverne made visibility a revolution. But behind the glamour was resilience. Bullied in school, misgendered in auditions, and questioned at every turn, she held firm to her truth. She didn't just act, she educated. Through her activism and public storytelling, she changed how America talks about gender. In a world still learning the language of inclusion, she gave it grammar, grace, and grit. Her presence redefined norms. And then there's Janet Mock. Before glossy magazine spreads and best-selling memoirs, Janet was just trying to survive. Born in Hawaii and assigned male at birth, she transitioned in her teens, long before society was ready to understand her. She worked as an editor in New York, navigating the media world quietly, until her truth could no longer be separated from her talent. When she came out publicly as a trans woman in 2011, the industry took notice. But Janet wasn't just there to be seen. Through her memoir, Redefining Realness, her writing on identity and womanhood, and her work as a producer on Pose, she broke barriers on and off screen. Janet Mock told her story, built a movement, and never looked back. Meanwhile, Brian Michael Smith was quietly dismantling another myth, that trans men had no place in masculinity. He came up through small roles, navigating a career that often left trans actors invisible or stereotyped. For years, he played cisgender characters without revealing his own identity, until 2017, when he came out publicly after a role on Queen Sugar. It was a quiet milestone, but one that echoed loudly. Brian became the first Black trans man cast in a regular role on network television, breaking through with 911 Lone Star. Off camera, he speaks about the unique challenges trans men face, often overlooked in both media and activism. His presence has opened the door for new narratives, new faces, and new understandings of manhood. Before Pose and American Horror Story, Angelica Ross was coding by day and surviving by any means necessary at night. She taught herself to program and founded trans tech social enterprises to help other trans people gain economic independence in tech. Her breakout role as Candy on Pose made her unforgettable, but her off-screen legacy is just as powerful. Angelica's voice is one of a blueprint. She's laid the groundwork for what self-made success looks like as a Black trans woman in America. From policy rooms to primetime TV, Angelica has made herself impossible to ignore, and she's bringing others with her. No one embodied unapologetic power like Dominique Jackson. From Tobago's shores to ballroom legend to Elektra's throne. Born in Tobago and later navigating homelessness in the US, Dominique carved power out of pain. The ballroom scene gave her a stage, but it was her unshakable presence that made her unforgettable. When Pose aired, her portrayal of Elektra was revolutionary. Off-screen, Dominique has spoken boldly about surviving abuse, being denied jobs, and rising anyway. Her beauty is undeniable, but it's her resilience that leaves the biggest impression. She didn't walk into fame quietly. She stomped in, heels first, declaring herself royalty long before anyone gave her a crown. Today, Dominique is celebrated, studied, and still standing tall. Let's now switch gears to Miss Major Griffin Gracie. Long before cameras rolled, Miss Major Griffin Gracie was fighting for survival on the front lines of history. A Black trans woman and prison abolitionist, she's spent decades advocating for incarcerated trans women, particularly those of color. From Attica to AIDS activism, she's been there. Fierce, unwavering, and often overlooked. She has stared down riot police, held vigils in the cold, and comforted women in cells. Her leadership came with bruises, arrests, and a relentless will to protect her community. Miss Major is a living archive of resistance. Her story reminds us that before visibility came sacrifice, and that the people who paved the way weren't always invited to the party. She's not a celebrity in the Hollywood sense, but something rarer, a legend. While some found their voice on Broadway, Peppermint took hers to the world. She broke new ground as the first out trans woman to originate a principal role on Broadway in Head Over Heels. But long before that, she was performing in clubs, competing on RuPaul's Drag Race, and challenging norms at every step. Peppermint blends activism with artistry, using her platform to educate, uplift, and agitate. Her music speaks to joy and survival, while her interviews tackle trans rights with clarity and fire. She's here to break the mold. Whether she's singing, speaking, or simply existing with pride, Peppermint proves that charisma, talent, and truth can coexist on the biggest stages, and she's nowhere near done. As Peppermint owned Broadway, Michael J. Rodriguez claimed Hollywood. No apologies, no compromises. While others became icons by stepping into the spotlight, Michael J. Rodriguez reshaped it entirely. He made history as one of the first out Black trans men to star in a major TV series. On Pose, his role was groundbreaking and personal. Off-screen, he's spoken openly about navigating gender, masculinity, and the pressure to be a first. His presence shattered a silence around Black trans masculine identity in Hollywood, one that had gone ignored for far too long. Michael isn't chasing visibility, he's commanding it, challenging casting norms, and opening doors for those coming next. His story proves that representation isn't about being included in someone else's narrative. It's about writing your own, and he's only getting started. Elsewhere, Kayla Gore was being lifted, not just on camera, but in community. Kayla came up through advocacy. A Memphis-based housing activist, Kayla has been on the ground for years, fighting for Black trans women experiencing homelessness. She co-founded My Sista's House, creating actual shelter where systems failed. Inside, she's helped mothers, elders, and survivors find not just beds, but safety. While stars shone, she stocked pantries and changed policies silently. From policy meetings to the front lines of protest, Kayla proves that activism isn't always loud. Sometimes it's persistent, grounded, and deeply local. In a world where transvisibility too often overlooks the most vulnerable, Kayla makes sure the spotlight reaches those who need it most. They didn't wait to be written into history, they became the ink. In a world still catching up, whose truth struck you hardest?